Someone who we haven't seen for a long time. Herman, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, Paul. It's good to be back. Really good to be back. Talking some rugby on the Mondays with you. Been missing that.
Back and and it has been one hell of a window of rugby. There's been close games, there's been upsets, and it's been all over the shop. So let's dive straight in because we have something like 15 games to get through. Kicking us off.
Wow.
Romania versus Uruguay. Uruguay had a bit of a tough November window, but managed to come through and win this one at 20-27.
Uruguay won it?
Yep, Uruguay won it. Yep.
Right. Damn.
Romania still recovering from their obviously their disqualification from the qualification for the World Cup. But it did take Uruguay an 80-minute converted try to win this game. So it was all evened up on 72 minutes, and then Uruguay managed to pull away and score again to take the lead back again on 80 minutes. So so tight game there over in Romania. Let me know when I come across a game that you've actually seen, Herman.
No.
Germany.
My mission now is to try to find a highlight reel from this match to be done with show. If it's a last minute try, that's always worth seeing.
It is. That's true. I've got no idea. I've got the name of the try scorer, but A, I can't pronounce it, and B, I've got no idea where they play.
No.
So Georgia beat Tonga in Tbilisi 20-9. Again, Georgia decent, a good win for them, but clearly disappointed from their first losing to Italy in that first round, which was their Rugby World Cup for this year, or their biggest game pretty much since playing Tonga in the last Rugby World Cup. So that's Georgia beat Tonga in the Rugby World Cup last year to get automatic qualification. They've gone and done it again.
Yeah, it seems like Georgia kind of thrives against the Pacific teams. It seems like they are, these Georgian boys were up for battle.
But if you get to any, if you talk to any kind of European pre-game chat about a sort of one of the home nation or one of the Six Nations teams playing one of the Pacific Islands, they always say, "Oh yes, what you need to do is keep it tight and basically ruck and maul them to win the game. Don't play too expansive rugby. Don't join in with their kind of play." That's exactly what Georgia is. So, hence, Georgia have got the perfect game to play the Pacific Island teams, to be honest.
Yeah, they think. I mean, we will get to that a lot later, but it might even get interesting in the group stage of the World Cup because Georgia is going to play both Fiji and the Wallabies, and especially with the Wallabies downward spiral at the moment. Right referee, right weather, bounce of a rugby ball. Who knows?
Yeah, well, if they do, that'll be Georgia's first ever win against a Tier 1 nation. So I'm backing Fiji to be to be the upset team in that.
Yeah, me too. But it's fun to speculate a little bit.
It is just a little bit. We'll get on to Fiji later because that was an amazing game.
Yep.
One game that wasn't amazing was Italy versus New Zealand. The score was 3-66. Did you watch this one?
I only watched the beginning before the other game started, and I mean, I checked in on it again, but it seems like every single time I checked in on it, it seemed like New Zealand had made another score. It's like kind of depressing, but it seems like Italy, they don't even have a plan how to keep the score down. It's just like headless rugby. I mean, shouldn't you be able at? I mean, are we tier 1, tier 2? We're like somewhere in the middle, but we got the finances at least. I mean, shouldn't they be able to negate the All Blacks a little bit better after all these years they've been giving a shot to do it? I mean, it's...
I guess
it should be harder for All Blacks to improve. It should be harder for All Blacks to keep improving and for Italy to keep improving because Italy starts like from a way lower level. Should be much more easier for them to keep on improving.
They should be able to close the gap at least. Yes, you're right. I guess Italy have changed from trying to be a side who would just try and keep the score down to one that tries to win occasionally. And I guess with that comes it becomes harder to switch back into that trying to get the score down kind of thing. But yeah, it was. I don't think there's much to talk about this one. New Zealand rolled out. I mean, they actually even rolled out Kieran Reid, Beauden Barrett, etc. Damien McKenzie for this one. So we actually had some first line players in this game as well. This wasn't New Zealand versus Japan where they rolled out an entirely second string side. So yeah, this was always going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting with those selections you mentioned there. Don't you reckon there was like a little bit of a message from Steve Hansen there, like because there was some criticism of Kieran Reid? No, he's like really aggressive to the press. No, he's captain. It's ridiculous. Reid leads the haka right on Saturday. He plays, and then also with all the Moanga talk, like it was very clear that Hansen was doubling down on Barrett and McKenzie. These are my two starters. Like that's.
I think there's a case that Kieran Reid wanted to play and make up and get it out of his and get the Ireland game out of his system. So yeah, there was definitely an element of that. And I think the other thing is this switch of styles that he's been talking about that no one seems to be able to identify.
What is it? Well,
it's definitely to do with two playmakers. And so I think part of it also was to give Beauden Barrett and Dave McKenzie more game time together. To be able to switch more to try and make it as seamless as possible as to knowing which one you're going to go to. So I think that's also part of it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's only 5 games left now for the World Cup, and New Zealand need to be more or less ready to go from the first game because we play the Springboks in the first round.
Well, they have to, yes. Well, basically they
get it, whatever we're doing, we got to nail it. We need to nail it from day one.
Well, it's kind of nail it on day one, and then go on holiday and come back for the knockouts, because they have the weakest pool in the entire competition.
Yeah, it's like 3 proper training runs we're going to get there.
Yeah. So, yeah, they play Italy again in that competition, and then it's also Canada and Namibia, as I say, the weakest pool. Anyway, talking of Japan hosted Russia in Kingsholm, which is a stadium in Gloucester, England, and they won 32-27. I'll be honest, that's all I know about that one, but I would have thought Japan would have scored a few more than that.
Yeah, but Japan looked pretty poor in this one, and Russia was spirited. It's almost like Japan was thinking a little bit too much. But we're number 11 now. We're the big boys, and thought we didn't need to put in the effort. And they were pretty much saved by their captain, Michael Leach, who scored actually 2 extraordinary individual tries, which is pretty good for being a flanker. I mean, he shouldn't do that.
And arguably, he was man of the match in the England-Japan game the weekend before. So he's in a real rich vein of form at the moment.
I agree.
And I think he took a bit of a break from international rugby. So perhaps that sabbatical and that break, I think he took some criticism for doing so. But maybe that break was a good thing for him to make sure he was fresh and still going for when it came around to the Rugby World Cup. He has transferred over to the Sunwolves for next season. So it's going to be interesting to see. Actually, no, sorry, he transferred over to Sunwolves last season.
Yeah. But he didn't play too many games. We're probably going to rest him in a couple of games this season too, because he's like his primary mission is being captain for Japan.
Yep. We then had one of the more dour games of the weekend. Scotland 14, Argentina 9. Two sides kind of nowadays, well, Scotland especially renowned for trying to play the game at a pace above everyone else. And Argentina, a side that's basically given up on scrummaging and decided to throw the ball around. So this should have been. This had all the ingredients of being an exciting rugby.
Correct, Paul. Yeah. Maybe that's also why me included are being so hard on this game afterwards. Because I watched parts of it when it was live, and I rewatched it the full game afterwards, and it was almost like during the second half while rewatching it was almost like making a compromise with myself, but should you really finish watching this, or you just finish watching just because it's so bad? Can it get even worse, because it was frustrating, many mistakes of team. It was good intentions, but the execution was horrible from everyone and everywhere, it was like, I think Argentina missed 4 kicks, we left 11 points out, or 12 points. Was it even 4 or 5 kicks? And 2-3 of them were sitters.
So they could have nearly won the game with just the game.
Oh yeah,
they didn't score.
Easily. But both teams also gave away got great line breaks, great offloads, just to completely ruin and wasted it in the next moment. It was like a lot of that. Oh no, that kind of. But it hurts to watch. It hurts to watch it.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, that's. I'm glad I didn't spend my life watching that one then.
Yeah.
And it probably comes to explain why Scotland is in that third group of teams. You've got Italy, you've got New Zealand and Ireland in the top two. You've then got a group of three teams in sort of South Africa, Wales. Sorry, comes first. Wales, England, and South Africa. And then you've got the rest of the tier one teams beneath that, like Scotland, France, Argentina, Australia. And it probably shows that that's where Scotland really are. They're not up to that. Spain then hosted Samoa in Madrid, and Samoa won that one 10-28. Samoa really needed to win this game. Spain is having to rebuild after having a couple of their players disqualified and then also banned for inappropriate actions. And Samoa's had a poor window, been taking a lot of flack back home about their performances, and they definitely needed this win.
Yeah, it is. But it's sad about Samoa. It seems like just like 7, 8, 9 years ago, we looked like we could have a great test stream in rugby. But they seem to, they're just going downwards on the world rankings these days.
Yeah, it's there's a glimmer of hope in that they've now got a seat on the World Rugby Governance Board, which shows that they've actually got some of their governance issues sorted out, because Tonga still haven't got a seat on that board yet because they haven't got theirs sorted out. So hopefully their off-the-field issues are going to be going in the right direction, which should hopefully show up on the field as well.
Yeah.
Then sort of big game of the weekend, and Mr. Rugby World Cup has said, don't mention the Wobblies. We're going to talk about the Wobblies. England versus Wallabies. Sorry. England versus Australia finished 37-18. It looks like if you look at just the score, you'd say, easy England victory. But this was up until half time, it was very close, and then England just pulled away in the second half quite comfortably.
Yeah, England's first 30 minutes of the second half, so that was very, very dominant from England. There's no Australia were poor, but you have to hand it to England too. It looked like getting this feeling that England is finally starting to get a little bit of this English identity that Ed Jones been talking about. They looked and played like an English team, but the positive thing is that they looked pretty good while doing it. Actually, it's effective. It's effective rugby.
It's effective rugby. England have very much, when you come into this window, we've seen them change their style dramatically, especially in the backs. We've gone from a back line of Ford, Farrell, Jonathan Joseph. You've got someone like Anthony Watson, Johnny May, or Jack Nowell out wide, and then Mike Brown at the back. And basically, there was nobody there who had any kind of size to them at all. We've switched now back to having to Farrell, Teo, who's a big boy, Slade, and then Kokonasiga out wide, who is a very big boy, and then also Manu Tuilangi coming off the bench to play to replace Slade as well. So you got three. They've got ball players now, they've got pace players, and they've got pace players as well. So England have changed their style of play dramatically. Australia still, questions in the camp as to how is their player discontent or not. Where to play their players. I mean, that's always been Australia's thing, is they've got these great backs, but where do you fit in Folau? Where do you fit in Beale? Where do you fit in Hodge or Dame Hewlett-Petty? There's question marks as to where players play. Has always been Australia's problem.
Yeah, but for me, it seems like Sheikha has completely lost the plot with Wallabies. I mean, they have been steady going backwards for 3 years now. Since right after that World Cup final.
Yep. And
there hasn't been much to smile about in the Wallabies camp. I mean, the only positive for the Wallabies is they are the only team to beat Ireland this year. That's the only.
And that wasn't a full strength Ireland starting side at least. Sorry. So if you want to hear my thoughts on Australia, go back and watch. I did an opinion piece called "Shortcut to Checker," Australia Wallabies coach, which will tell you where I think that's all gone wrong. Now, what we need to talk about is the elephant in the room here around refereeing quickly, and that Farrell got himself involved on half time, or just before half time, got himself involved in another incident where he basically threw his body in the way of Rodder. There was no arms in it. He got bounced. They both crashed to the ground, with Farrell coming off probably the worst to wear, as you'd expect against the second rower. And the referee decided that there was nothing in it because both players had lowered their shoulders. Now, it was a very strange one. I think everyone agrees it should have been a penalty.
Penalty, but it was a penalty too. But
no,
what I don't, but maybe he just called for offside, but it was on the same spot anyway, so it wouldn't make any difference.
It was in the same spot, but it was for after that. The England got called offside, so it was a separate incident. They got called a penalty. Obviously, there was no one covering behind Farrell, so if it had been called a penalty, it was a penalty try because there was no one else to block it. Which would then also be a yellow card as well.
But also, I mean, isn't we a little bit too hard on Farrell here? If I watch it like a little bit from a Farrell-friendly point of view, I think that he's actually coming into that tackle. It's not like even coming in a tackle. He's off balance even from the start, and it looks like Rodder is actually going to try to smash him. And for me, what's also like big surprise, big boy Lock Rodder having a chance on the fly half. And he bounces down like he's fucking dying. Sorry, F-word. Like he's dying. And Farrell is like, some people I've seen writing about Farrell pretends he's injured afterward. But right after the tackle, he gets straight up in line.
Yeah, Farrell is
Rodder, I mean, come on. He's a big lock.
He is a big lock. And he should have tried to him.
Is Farrell made of steel or something? Farrell's shoulders made of steel?
Let's be fair. It was a penalty. Farrell should have used his arms, right? But this idea... Farrell is a Marmite player. He's one of those players that people either love or hate, and he's hated by most of the world.
Yeah, because it's English.
So
English and good. That's the most secure way you're going to get hated in the rugby world. Look at Murray told you to how much stick he takes from like foreign forums and so on. It's unbelievable how much they just love to hate him.
So, basically, he put his body in the way. There was no way he was going to, and to try and stop a try. Yes, it should have been penalty. Yes, it should have been yellow card. People who are saying, it should be cited. It was never a red card incident. It was never going to get cited. It wasn't dangerous in the way that shoulder charges can be. It was just putting his body in the way. Mr. Rugby World Cup says Farrell gets 10 and the game would have taken a different path. Yes, it would. What that path would have been, we'll never know. It's all if buts and maybes. Sure, Farrell assisted for the try straight after the break, but if he hadn't been there, what would have happened? Who knows?
Yeah, no, but
it's all buts and maybes, unfortunately.
I can see that point of view too. I mean, especially that the first try England scored in the second half is like in the 44th minute, and it's a pretty awesome assist from Farrell on that try. It's like it really is his try, you know. So I can understand where many Wallabies fans go about, come on, he should be in the bin, you know. What is he even doing there?
He should. But
Farrell is a key player for England, you know. So to lose him for 10 minutes, that's you like that as an opposition for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And it would have been interesting to see how Henry Slade would have stepped in, because you expect he would have stepped into 10 from 13 there, and that would have been interesting to see how that would have panned out. But it is if buts and maybes. We have no idea what the result would have been if that happened. England were dominant in that second half, it is what it is. Moving on, Portugal 23 and Namibia 29. So Namibia finally get a win on this tour. They are in that group with New Zealand, South Africa, Italy, and now Canada. And we'll actually get on to Canada, but we'll get on to that in a second. But yeah, they needed that win because Portugal are in the third tier of European teams. Namibia are a Rugby World Cup team, but probably the weakest one there, and they needed that win.
Yeah, they did. They have yet to win a World Cup game, I think, Namibia. They haven't won a World Cup game.
Don't think so.
They haven't won yet. But they're probably going to target Canada and Italy, you know? which is going to make it even more funny because we're not going to play the first stringers against the Springboks and the All Blacks. We're going to save them from...
Yeah, I could go back and I need to check the schedule to see because there are some crazy ones where teams have got short turnarounds, and if they've got a short turnaround, they'll be resting players against New Zealand and South Africa because it's just a waste of time.
Oh yeah.
Next big clash of the weekend: Wales 20, South Africa 11. Congratulations, Wales! This is the first time they've ever won all 4 games in an end of year tour, or that's not a tour for them, is it? An end of year window or November window. So yes, Wales up into third place and quite deservedly in the world at the moment.
Yeah, they are. They have been quietly building, but I mean, I think everybody start taking notice now. But I want to see them against Ireland and England in the Six Nations before I really put. Yeah, if they want to take that level up to be really contenders for the World Cup, let's see that in the Six Nations then, because I'm not convinced yet, but it's looking good. It's looking good.
For me, you've got the probables, so it will probably be either Ireland or New Zealand, or New Zealand or Ireland, in that order really. And then it could possibly be Wales, England, or South Africa winning it. So I think they're in that possibles group. And then you've got everyone else who I don't think could string enough games together to win it. So yeah, they're definitely in that possibles group, but not probables.
No, not yet. And they haven't been playing. I think it's also like a funny thing if you look at the ranking. Look at Wales. They haven't been playing this year, and like extremely few games against the top ranked teams. And when they compare it to the Wallabies, who played like 3 games against the top ranked, 3 games against the second ranked, it's obviously that's going to show in your win-loss record if you're matched up against the best team all the time, and if you're not.
And they also got the monkey off the back of not being able to beat Australia, and Australia are in their pool. Now, Mr. Rugby World Cup reckons Wales will be a surprise package, semi-final or final maybe. And then that's definitely they could definitely win their pool, and then they should really go into as favourites their pool if we wouldn't do it
almost,
today.
Yeah, almost, yeah. Almost, yeah. But it's an interesting pool still. I mean, because especially we can talk about it more after the Fiji win, But with Fiji in that group too, I mean, it's like a mini group of death.
Yes, actually, of them, that probably is true. Trying what if there are any. I did do post-match. I did a live post-match reaction to this game. So if you want to go and have a listen to me and Unbiased Rugby, then go back and check out that video. But yeah, basically Wales deserved the win, I think was how he put it. And it wasn't down to... There were a couple of complaints in the social media around the referee, but this wasn't a refereeing decided game. This was, South Africa making too many mistakes themselves. Yeah,
but especially when they switch, because I'm a little bit impressed by Ambrose Papier, the new scrum half. He looks the real deal. He got real pace both in feet and hands and thought, And it's when especially in the first 20 minutes of the second half, South Africa built some real pressure on Wales there for a while, and he was really the spider in the web. And when they subbed him for this Ivan van Zyl, it was absolutely terrible. I mean, he was, and that combined also with Bigger coming on for Wales, and it became like completely switched just by these 2 subs. It's weird that it can. Small details in the game can make such a big impression of the scoreline in the end.
Yeah, I mean, when Bigger came on, he was the perfect guy for the scoreboard situation, which was basically that Wales were up, and so what they did was they just played in South Africa's half and just kept kicking the ball down there and saying, right, if you want to win this game, you're going to have to score from a long way out, and that's basically how when he came on. I thought Gareth Hanscom had a fantastic first half and got that and built that lead. But yeah, for the game situation, Bigger was perfect to come on at that point, and it was when South Africa had managed to get a bit of an upper hand in that second half. A game that I think we'll probably breeze past pretty quickly. Ireland beat the USA 57-14. I've not bothered watching this one or any of the highlights. Pretty much.
I watched the highlights.
Oh, you did? Okay.
No. But what I think is noteworthy from this game is like a general thing about Ireland, because you can see the same when we play Italy in the beginning of this November series, and they play the reserves like the BC Stringers against Italy, and they absolutely hammered Italy in Chicago, and we do the same thing against the United States, and they also we put 50 plus points on these teams, and it's only really the All Blacks who have that kind of depth that can put like a scratch BC Stringers, but the structures and in the team and the coaching is so well, everything is so well structured. So they just go in and hammer whoever they put on the field, which also can be seen when both of the All Blacks in Ireland at the moment, when they have injuries, that they don't really hurt that much from injuries. I mean, who thought before the All Blacks Ireland game that missing Conor Murray would not be a big deal? No one.
Well, to the extent that basically Hansen said that it was a ruse, and that Murray would find himself to be ready in time for the game. But yeah, Ireland clearly learnt from their quarterfinal exit to Argentina in the last Rugby World Cup, where they had about 4 or 5 injuries and they just fell apart. And so that's they've spent the last 3 years building depth, and we're now seeing that. So the big game of the weekend, the big result of the weekend: France 14, Fiji 21. Fiji keeping France scoreless for the second half, and that is some impressive play.
That's remarkable. But Fiji, they were up for it from the beginning, the Fijians. But I had a pretty good vibe about this game before, because with so many of the Fijians playing in the top 14 too. But now, to be fair also with Fiji, but you should always remember with the smaller nations, because we got so little preparation time. So the last test of their November winners is usually the one we have a chance to perform the best, because we actually been together for a few weeks. Finally, we got some structures in it. And you can tell that, because usually the Fiji's undoing is they can't defend, They will lose the structure in defense if they start making stupid mistakes. And there were some, I mean, come on, we're an island team, but still there were remarkably few of them. And they were really nitty-gritty in defense. And if you see, we can admire tough island boys as much as you want, but a lot of times these Pacific Islanders test team disappoint to perform really hard rugby for 80 minutes.
They also tend to go for the big hit rather than keeping the defensive structure in place. Vula did make a few mistakes in there as well. Flowmaster, it was France versus the French Foreign Legion. Yes, there is definitely an element of that, but they did bring over some of the boys from the Drua, so it's good to show those pathways are in place, and they are definitely moving things in the right direction in Fiji. They're the strongest Pacific Island side by quite a distance now, I think, and probably the strongest and the strongest Tier 2 team. Even though lots of people talk about Japan.
They ranked number 8. They ranked number 8. Fiji is ranked number 8 of the new world rankings. So they are the strongest. An interesting thing I want to comment on what you said there, Paul, is I would say the 3 big improvers right now in world rugby is many people say to Georgia, but I would not include them there. It's Japan, United States, and Fiji. And an interesting thing all 3 of them have in common is in this World Cup cycle, they all have got more opportunities for professional players and coaches to actually work with. You have with Japan the Sunwolves, of course. With Fiji, you have a Drua who can play in the NRC, and with the United States, of course, you have a Major League Rugby. And it makes it so clear that if you give more opportunities, you will see improvements eventually.
This year is the first year that the United States have managed to pick a fully professional squad.
Yeah.
So your strength and conditioning is going to be way, way better. I mean, if you just go and see a professional team versus an amateur team, forget everything else. Just strength and conditioning will improve your game, and that's what we've definitely seen that from the USA. They play they can play the full 80 minutes rather than having to worry about what's coming off their bench and worry about getting tired. So that's definitely been has helped. And yeah, a good point that the three teams that have stepped or that are improving are the three teams that managed to put a professional, or with a draw perhaps saying professional team structure in place to develop the players. That's very true. And there are some dicey moments in this one for Fiji, so do go watch. This isn't one to watch the highlights of. This is one to watch the whole game of. Fiji were also denied 2 tries by the TMO as well.
Yeah, I mean, probably good calls, but you always like hoping for the TMO to make a mistake when there is a tier 2 upset in the cards, you know.
And also, I did a live post-match reaction to this one, so again, you can go watch that with me and Mary, who dove deep into that one this game as well. But as you said, this throws open that Rugby World Cup group, because in that Rugby World Cup group we have got Wales, actually, to give it the official order is Australia, Wales, Georgia, Fiji, and I've gone blank as to who the last one is.
Uruguay.
Uruguay. So Uruguay, unfortunately, is going to have a hard time of it in there.
They're going to have a tough time, yeah. They're going to get a lot of lessons here. We're going to learn a lot.
Whereas, Australia generally don't deal with teams like England, who are dogged and up front, and they've got Georgia, who are dogged and up front. So that's going to be a difficult game for them. They should have too much class for Georgia, to be honest.
They should.
But
as I said in the beginning, you know, the right referee, the right weather, you know, bounce of a rugby ball. It's like monsoon raining. You get like in an arm wrestle. The Georgian pack having a field day. The referee seeing it their way in the scrums, you know.
Oh yeah,
could happen. Could happen.
There is an opportunity for an upset there, but it would be an upset. Whereas Fiji on this form, you say they're 8th in the world. Australia probably I have to go check, but they're 6th or 7th. If you have 8th beating 6th, that's not a big upset anymore. So Fiji are in with a real shout there. Wales should top this group, but Australia are definitely potential. Mr. World Cup says we all know Australia will turn up. Probably the new coach. Stay tuned. Well, yes, we have to see what's going to happen in Australia.
What do you reckon, Paul? What do you reckon is going to happen in Australia?
My call is that they just can't afford to sack him. They don't.
Seems like it, but it's dangerous to keep him, isn't it? I mean, because the downward spiral in Australian rugby right now, it's going down fast there.
So what they have to do is they have to replace his assistants. So I think we'll see Gray and Larkham go, and maybe someone like Wessels or some of these Super Rugby guys.
Brad Thorne
be brought up as part-time or whatever, with either Jake White or Scott Johnson coming in post-Rugby World Cup. Even though I've heard that Brad Thorne is apparently on some sort of shortlist for post-Rugby World Cup, but I think that would be an absolute disaster.
Yeah? To give him the head coach gig for Wallabies, he's not ready at all for that. No way. I would. I mean, if I saw a poster on a forum today about rugby that suggested that Australia should probably go for Jamie Joseph and Tony Brown style of coaches, like smart Kiwi coaches who know they are not like in line for the top job in New Zealand yet, but there is potential in the Wallabies. I mean, a smart Kiwi coach, a couple of smart Kiwi coaches, they could bring a lot of life to that Wallabies team.
Any smart Kiwi coach goes, Robbie Deans, he's a smart Kiwi coach, and he didn't even succeed. So I think it's
but if you're looking back at his results, he did fairly good actually.
That's what I'm saying. He did better than the 2 guys who followed him. Maybe Larkham take over and bring in new assistants. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Larkham, what has he done? The Brumbies attack coach. Come on.
I'm not sure that's necessarily a good move personally. I just want to back the truck up a little bit here. So Flowmaster 8 says, I live in the USA and Major League Rugby is not as great or competitive. It would equate to Div 3 Rugby of France. I understand it's got a long way to go, but what it's allowed the players to do is to train and have strength and conditioning full time. And that means that when they get to Gary Gold, then Gary Gold has got guys that he can just concentrate on skills and structures. He doesn't have to worry about the strength and conditioning because players are now full time, and that they actually just play deeper into a game. I didn't say that and that helps in the fact that you can still carry out whatever skills you've got after 70 minutes, rather than that we're not seeing the drop off from the USA in that last 20 that we saw, and that's how they beat Scotland, was with a last minute goal, last minute kick. The way they beat, I think it was it Samoa in this window, again was with a late score. And yeah, the USA is showing that because they're all professionals now, they can go deeper. Major League Rugby has a long way to go. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it's not the Viewer Premiership, Gallagher Premiership. It's not the top 14. It's not Super Rugby yet. It's got a long way to go, but we are seeing its influence on the national team.
Yeah, we do.
We also had some Rugby World Cup action going on. So Kenya lost to Germany 6-43, with Germany picking up a bonus point. That was not enough to see Germany qualify. They couldn't qualify. They'd already because they didn't pick up a bonus point against Canada, and then that means you've got to say that Germany are in some serious trouble now because they needed. Their benefactor said he would only continue funding them if they could find 2 or 3, I think it's 3 other people to put the same amount of money in. Now they're not going to the World Cup. Trying to find that money and those sponsors is going to be extremely difficult. And so we could be seeing a downward spiral after this of German rugby. All of the staff basically are now unemployed and looking for other jobs.
That's news.
And then Hong Kong versus Canada was the playoff. Hong Kong had to win this game with a try bonus point and stop Canada from getting a losing bonus point or a try bonus point to qualify. They failed to do that. It was 10-27. Canada weathered an early storm by Hong Kong and then basically took control of the game after that. I don't know if you watched this one.
No, I haven't. I've seen the highlights from it.
So it was wet, which didn't help Hong Kong's cause. But it does rain, I can tell you, heavily in Hong Kong, so they should have been used to that. But their style of play didn't match the conditions. And Canada played played sensible rugby, weathered the early storm. When they got their opportunity, they scored, and then just getting their heads in front and comfortably sort out the game.
Canada have been missing pretty much all of our star players earlier in the year too. This was the first time. Then we have like Tyler Arden and my boys back in the team again. And they make a difference, because they have like a few top class players, and they really make a difference if all of them are on the field together or not.
Yeah, and I think they're starting to get their off-field administration issues sorted out, so that hopefully things are heading in the right direction now for Canada. As I say, they've been very lucky in this, in that they've had 3 bites at the cherry to get themselves qualified. First off, they had a playoff against home and away game against USA. The USA qualified. Uruguay came through the Americas League, or the South Americas League anyway, won that, then had a home away game against Canada. Canada lost, and again, that was their second opportunity to get into the World Cup. Then they got to Repechage. And again, they've been lucky here. Kenya are a decent side in Africa, or they were, until they had an industrial dispute between the players and the union. And as you've seen, Kenya lost this game, 6-43. They lost the previous game, 42-17, and the other one, 65-19. Kenya were never at the races.
No. Because
of that. Germany are only here because both Romania and Spain had ineligible players and got disqualified. So again, they shouldn't. This should have been either Russia or Spain here, not or maybe Romania, but not Germany. And so the quality of opposition again has dropped right down. Hong Kong is the only team that was here. They took Germany too lightly in the first round, and once they lost that game, this was Canada's just to walk through. So yeah, if Canada hadn't qualified out of this one, there would have been some pretty serious questions of the whole setup.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Paul? Do you think there's a case to expand the World Cup to 24 teams, considering Spain and Romania were not part of it? They're probably up there now. They're good enough to play the World Cup. And you have Hong Kong, it's not too bad. I think 27-10 that's a right result against Canada for Hong Kong, I think.
Well, Hong Kong now centrally contracting, all their players can be centrally contracted. They have a couple of players who aren't because they've got better jobs that pay better than being full-time players. But because look, the salaries that those guys run are not on All Blacks salaries or Falau salaries by any stretch of imagination. So. But they are full-time professional teams. Hong Kong should be doing better than that, I think, and I think we will see them step it up because Hong Kong are going to be part of this. We'll have to see how this pans out, but Hong Kong are going to be a central part of global rapid rugby.
Yep.
Which again,
they even put their office in Hong Kong, I think.
Yep. So the office is going to be headed out of Hong Kong. So it's clearly all the money, and it's all about Western force, but. They put it in Hong Kong because they don't have to deal with the Australian Rugby Union. And the Hong Kong Rugby Union has basically said, you have to do what you like. Is my guess. So that's why they want to go with that. That's why it's headed up out of there. But it does mean that they will get much more, in the next Rugby World Cup cycle, they'll get much more opportunities, much more play, much more game time against better opposition, which will be good. So look out for Hong Kong. Hong Kong is one of those. Is the Asian dragon or the Asian tiger that's going to rise up next.
Hey, it's the next one, isn't it? Well, what do you reckon? You think there should be more teams in the World Cup or not, or you think 20 is good?
I can't see how you're going to structure it with 24.
You have 6 groups with 4.
So the top 4,
top
6 go through, and then 2 others.
You put the top 16 through, so it's 8 team leaves from the group stage. It's like all top 2 teams from all 6 groups plus the 3 best 4s. Makes pretty much every group game exciting too. It's like a value in everything.
Okay.
And then you play one extra round in the playoffs. You have 8 finals before the quarterfinals.
I don't think we're ready in Japan. But I can see us being ready in, if not, probably not for France, but the one after that, I think we're ready for that to happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have a fixed opinion either. You want so much that these minors should improve, but you have to be honest about it sometimes also that would it really improve a product? Or are we just mercenaries?
So one final game to report on. England women beat Ireland women 37-15. So that's a good round for England, who beat USA, Canada, and Ireland. Whereas Ireland lost to Canada and then lost to the USA and then lost to England as well. So that actually there is just one more game to come. So next weekend, the Barbarians host Argentina. At Twickenham. But let's be honest, that's a bit of an exhibition. Not much.
Los Pumas didn't make good. That was not a good advert for against Scotland. Wow.
It wasn't, but it's good to see them getting this game because quite often this game is a game that sort of Australia or South Africa or New Zealand would get. So I think it is another sign of Argentina rising up the ranks and becoming more commercial as well.
Maybe Argentina might be up for it now because they played so shockingly poor against Scotland, so they will actually try to bring it to the Barbarians with some real skill rugby. But we know they can play. We have to be fair, they can play some good stuff.
They can, and if they get in the right mood, it could be a very good game. It could be fun. But I'm not holding my breath for that one. So for Europe, it's back to domestic action. Check out the DrivingMaul rugby predictions for all those rugby predictions, and then so we have one round of domestic action before we hit the European Cup time, which again the big daddy of the European of club competitions. And for the Southern Hemisphere, well, it's time to play some sevens or take some time off, basically.
There's one important thing left to do, Paul.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We got to do like some kind like a end of the year reward show.
Award show.
Yeah. Give our props to who we really thought were the best ones of the year.
Well, we had the Rugby World Cup awards, and so Ireland took out a lot of things. So Johnny Sexton was Player of the Year, Schmidt was Coach of the Year, and Ireland was Team of the Year. And you got to say that's well deserved. They've only lost one game all year,
Yep.
And
Sexton didn't play in that one.
Sorry?
Sexton didn't play in that one. We lost.
And Sexton didn't play that one. Else. That's very true. So yes, no. I mean, you got to say Ireland deserved all that, and they will go to number one in the world if they win. I think it's the next 2 or 3 games in the Six Nations. So yes,
I think they need to beat Wales in Cardiff in the third round. I think, or something like that. That's good.
Okay. So and they have got a couple of serious games. They've got Wales away and England. Scotland away.
No, Scotland away too.
Yeah.
I think, but Scotland, I think, just the sheer quality of Ireland presenting right now, I think Scotland needs to play like the game of a lifetime to beat the Irish now. I think the Scotland is too much on and off, and I think the gulf in quality is just too big. Wales, we know they can always bring the Ireland game into the most dirty arm wrestle you can imagine in Cardiff, But
well, I mean, I say Scotland cut Ireland to pieces 2 years ago in Murrayfield, so we'll have to wait.
No. That was not. No. That's not how that game played out at all. Scotland scored some fabulous tries, but Ireland should have won that. Ireland bombed so many tries in that game; it was unbelievable. I mean, Ireland really gave it away. I mean, we bombed probably like 3-4, like dead certain tries. But if you only watch the highlight, it looks like, look at Scotland, they're playing like flying rugby here. But if you watch the full game, and it was like a total shocker from Ireland.
Anyway, Ireland deserved all those awards. Yes, they are the Team of the Year, and Sexton is Player of the Year. So that's all good. Dante got the Emerging Player of the Year. I think you got to say hats off to Carl as well for the New Zealand prop who's come through, and probably someone like Lama coming through in Ireland as well. He's been pretty impressive as well.
But what about James Ryan? Was it because he played a little bit last year already? But otherwise, he's for sure been like the most impressive newcomer on the scene. I mean, he went from like no one knew about it to like putting Brody and Talick in place in the end of the season. That's some journey to do in one season. Even New Zealand watches him like, who's that guy? I mean, he's been impressive this season.
He's having he's a good year. He's a very good player as well. Probably didn't get probably because he was started last season a bit and got overshadowed by Rico Iwani last season, and also being a Lions year and he wasn't on the Lions tour. So that's probably all. Those all probably contributed why he didn't get it last year and didn't get it this year. Those kind of things. Any awards you're thinking of?
We should like the best game we've seen this season, the best player we've seen this season. Can compare a little bit domestic rugby or like regional rugby, whatever, with international rugby, so on.
I only saw the second half. But enjoyed that France Fiji is going to live in the memory for a bit. But for me, and partially because I was there, to be honest, Auckland versus Canterbury
it was huge. That was huge.
In the Maestrin Cup final, the 100-minute game that Auckland only led at the very end to become champions. So that to me was my game of the season.
Yeah, for pure drama, that was one of the best rugby finals I ever seen. It was a great spectacle. But for pure quality, for sure, Ireland All Blacks. That was amazing. Both teams for 80 minutes for both teams making so few mistakes. That was very, very impressive stuff. And I think it's been coming a little bit just because All Blacks lost, there's something like the All Blacks are on the way down or something like that. No. They play good still, All Black in that game. They played really good defense, show real grit, So, look at what it took for Ireland to win it. It took some exceptional individual skills for them to win that game. after like a perfect training ground move that's been executed before. I mean, you really have to mix it up to break that All Blacks defense.
Yep. Team of the season in some ways, you got to look at. I mean, it's hard to overlook Crusaders and having gone back to back Super Rugby titles with Razor Ruddock. He's Razor Ruddock? Oh, no, Razor
Robertson.
There we go. Razor Ruddock used to be a football player.
Boxer? No.
Oh, maybe a boxer. Okay, maybe. I thought it was no. I think he was played.
Maybe.
English Premiership player
in the 80s.
In the 80s,
like
yeah.
Long time ago.
Long time ago. Showing my age. Perhaps 90s actually. But anyway, so you got to be impressed by Razor Robinson and what he's done with the Crusaders, which is why there's a lot of talk about whether he would get the All Blacks head coach role after the next Rugby World Cup.
I have a prediction. I have a prediction for the All Blacks setup after the next World Cup. Yeah. My prediction is they're gonna make Steve Hansen the director of rugby for New Zealand Rugby Union, which I guess actually is perfect position for him. You know, take care of like you are the big face outwards, you make the big calls, and you like protect the organization. You know, that's talking with the media. That's what he's really good with, and I reckon. And then that opens the door to make Joe Schmidt as the head coach. And I think Joe Schmidt would probably even appreciate to have been working because he and the players going to be so protected by Steve Hansen being the director of rugby. So they're really going to go able to go deep in the training paddock. Really go deep. And on all accounts, Joe Schmidt is like a guy who really builds like a super positive environment. Like very demanding but positive environment. So which is probably good to close it a little bit too, you know, like it's going to be really going to thrive. And then the last puzzle, part of the puzzle is of course to make Razor Robertson Schmidt's assistant, making him the attacking coach of All Blacks. And it's pure speculation, but gut feeling says that two progressive rugbymen like Razor and Joe Schmidt, that would be a happy marriage.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about the Joe Schmidt Hansen marriage than I am the Schmidt and an assistant. We've seen how he can handle difficult assistant coaches because I mean, let's be honest, Farrell was a bit of an issue with England as assistant coach and perhaps try to take over. So he's been handled pretty well by Schmidt.
I don't think it's about handling. I think the way Schmidt handles this is I think he has a minimal ego. So that's why he can handle like really strong personalities around him. And that's why also I think I can see him even thrive in an All Blacks environment, even if Steve Hansen would be like one cut above him as a director of rugby. He could still thrive in that because he has a minimal ego. His mission would be all about making All Blacks the best team in the world, winning every test. That's what he would see. He doesn't seem like a guy who wants the All Blacks job like for a pure prestige. He wants the All Blacks job because it's a top gig. If you're a rugby coach, that's what you want to try.
I guess the only other question then is around Hansen's loyalty to Ian Foster and where he, if or how he would fit into anything.
Yeah, but I have to give, it hurts, but I have to give some credit to Gregor Paul. I listened to an Irish podcast, and they were interviewing him about after the All Blacks Ireland game. And they start talking about Joe Schmidt, and what you have to admit, if you look like a Joe Schmidt CV that he have right now, but yeah, because what you from the New Zealand Rugby, they want an experienced international coach for All Blacks. That's what you gotta, and you should probably be successful too. And what Joe Schmidt has on his CV right now, no other New Zealand coach has been even close to have his kind of CV to show up with. I mean, you have like Robbie Dean was very impressive in the Crusaders, of course, you know, but look at Joe Schmidt. He have taken Ireland from the 8th place to like a serious contender to the All Blacks, beating him 2 times in the last 3 times, you know. All the 4 tests since All Blacks started playing against Ireland have been like classics. They are so competitive. I mean, that's that kind of CV. Who else has that kind of CV can show? Not only like he's good, I already beaten the All Blacks with lesser resources. I mean, I think the general feeling after the test in Dublin, I mean, it was a great game, but you still have a feeling that Joe Schmidt is, he got Hansen's number. I think we're friends, but I also think something about it. You know what I'm coming from?
No, I understand. Yes, I'm just saying this isn't about how good or bad Schmidt is, but this is about what's the loyalty between Hansen and his current assistant in Ian Foster, who for the past couple of years everyone said he was going to be the next person to take over. So
compare Foster to Joe Schmidt. I mean, if you're really looking,
I'm not saying that that he's comparable. I'm just saying as to would Hansen want to take on a DOR role, and then if he did take him on, would he have certain loyalties to Foster as to how he looks after Foster in that situation? That's my thoughts. Anyway,
I mean, it's even possible that Foster could stay in that setup. I mean, I can even see Foster is probably good in this setup he is now. I mean, we got to give guys some credit. I mean, he's All Blacks attack coach. And what attacking rugby team have been done pretty damn good the last 8-9 years. he gets very little credit for that because everyone is like, yeah, but that's like a given. I don't think it's that given, you know. The guy knows his rugby. But I don't think he's like really the head coach. He's not really the head coach material.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. He was the name that everyone was mentioning before. Anyway,
sorry. I mean, I actually think New Zealand rugby probably have changed a little bit on the fly here. I think because the original idea was probably for sure to put Fossey in the big seat after the next World Cup, like with all the succession plans, like bedding everyone in the All Blacks environment. But when they made that strategy, there was not we didn't know about Joe Schmidt that he's going to do what he's been doing. His results alone has changed the picture a little bit.
And there's always still Gatland, who seems to have dropped out of the conversation as well.
Yeah. So. Bad luck for him.
Yeah, it looks like it.
When they finally go back to New Zealand with the Lions, you know, get the draw, you know, play some pretty good damn rugby. Still, there's another Kiwi coach. You just have to do a little bit better than him.
Right then, we have run out of time. Thank you very much, sir. It is great to have you back on the show.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
It's been a good old chat. And join us tomorrow night. We'll be having the #Rugby chat. And then obviously Wednesday night is the All Blacks edition. So tomorrow night we'll probably plan to look at each of the teams and sort of give the end of season review for the Pumas, Wallabies, Springboks, and also talk about some of the European teams from how they've done in November. And then we'll on Wednesday we might even have some more news around the All Blacks, but we'll give the All Blacks end of year review. We'll also look at gone blank. Anyway, we'll talk about we'll talk about all sorts of stuff about the All Blacks. So don't forget to click up there to subscribe to this channel down there for all the predictions that I've been talking about. And there's 2 videos there that if you're with us now, YouTube says you will absolutely adore.